What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This week, we're back on our Supercharged 1972 C10, AKA dime bagged. We're so close to getting this thing fired up, but we still have a little list of stuff to do, like getting our custom valve covers on, our two-piece drive shaft, all of our coolant lines, as well as some fab work. So before I get to all that other stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and pass this camera off to Dave so we can get that fab work done.
We got this coolant reservoir. So this is for the supercharger system only, separate from the regular radiator system. And we have that cooler, this reservoir, our coolant pump mounted down here, and then we got the in and out on the back of the Whipple. In order for this to work, we have to be gravity dropping back into the top. The feed for the pump is on the bottom, and that means that this point has to be higher than over here. So we are deciding to go over in the front. As you can see, the hood has a nice scoop up to it, so there's a lot of headroom that we have to work with. We got our tank mounted, we got our bulkheads in. So working on making this connection here. As you can see, these are not in line with each other. A tiny 90 would be great, but this is like a 90, and then it would be sort of like an S curve within it. So instead of trying to find hose that does that exact bend, we're gonna do the easy route, which is move this fitting over to the corner, and it'll be directly in line right here. So I'm gonna make a mark right in line with our fitting here. That way we know where to center it. And once we cut this off, drill a hole, move it in here, we could cut a little fill piece on the plasma and re-weld it in onto that spot on the tank. Alright, so continuing on, now that we got our reservoir set with our nice tight 90 here, looking very clean, we're going to move on to some of the front connections. So this is our line that's out of our pump. Pumps this direction over to here. Going to go in one of these two bulkheads into the supercharger, back out of the supercharger into the other bulkhead, and then that's what goes to our bottom port here on our cooler.
Dave is just about finished routing all his hoses, so that gives us a chance to finally get our brake master cylinder in there and finalize the last bit of brake lines that we have to make. Right now I'm going to mate the master cylinder up to the firewall. We may have to do a little bit of changing with the length of our push rod here, but we're going to find out right now. And just as expected, shoot, that sucker is too short. So, okay, 2.5, almost 3 inches shy of where it needs to be here. So let's get to modifying. All right, so I've got the master cylinder apart, and we've got a 3.5 inch distance that we're gonna have to make up. Some solid rod here, and what I'm gonna do is just cut the length that we need, cut the threads off here, and I'm gonna put this directly between the threading and the shank right here. Probably gonna drill out one end so it has light interference, so it's not just the weld that's taking all the force. They'll actually be slip fit into each other, so it adds a little bit more strength. I've got the solid rod drilled out on either end. You can see, got the bolt cut here. So now I have a good positive engagement, and there's no way that this end could snap off with a bunch of brake pedal pressure, whether it comes to an emergency stopping or whatever. And the same thing on the other end. It's gonna slip fit about 1/4 inch inside here. So there's no way that this rod could fail. The next thing we gotta do is just weld each end, and then we can reinstall this guy back on the car. Got the push rod installed, it's modified. You can see it's nice and strong. Spent a little bit of time to make sure it was really strong so it doesn't ever bend or either of the ends. Yeah, that's completed. On to the next.
All right, we're gonna start making our air intake for the Whipple Supercharger. We got our flange right here, and then we got a bunch of aluminum pipe. Kind of the idea is to come down, we'll cut this back so it hugs tighter to the alternator. Comes down in here, and then we'll probably drill a hole through our core support where our filter will stick out, and that way it could be breathing some fresh air from the front right here.
I have Dave prepping the intake for powder coating, and we're gonna show you the final install later on in the episode. But for now, we got the front bumper placed up there where it needs to be. And of course, none of the brackets that we have. These are provided by GSI. I don't really understand them at all. These did not work. Also the stock bumper brackets, this one, and these ones are no good either. So, all right. What we're gonna do here is make stuff. Let's make stuff. So we got our GSI chassis here. We got 2 holes in the chassis for their bracket. This bottom one doesn't line up to anything. So I don't know if maybe we could try to modify this or maybe just start over. We got our 2 bumper holes here. One right up there where my pinky's going through, and then one right here. So basically we're gonna be making something very similar to this one. And then as far as these outside holes, doesn't look like we're gonna be able to do anything with those because we have our sway bar here. It looks like that's about where our bumper bracket would mount to. So hopefully these 2 center brackets with 4 bumper bolts will be enough to kind of hold it up and make it strong and sturdy. So let's design a little bracketry and get it cut, weld it up, put it up, call it a day. Our slightly modified brackets. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these back onto the chassis, get the bumper hung, make sure everything's still good to go, and then the next thing and the last thing I'm gonna have to do is drill out our chassis here and here where they're marked on the top. Basically elongate this hole so that way this bracket can slide over and get mounted on the top. Another thing checked off our list, bumper is looking tight. All right, now that we got the front bumper mounted, it's time to move to the rear bumper. When we took it off, we just left the brackets on there. And I vaguely remember when we were laying out the battery location, when we were mounting them, we tried to keep in mind that there was gonna be a bumper. But looking at it right now, and looking at those brackets, I'm not so sure we did the math right or something, but it does not look like it's gonna work out. So we're gonna have to get tricky again. Probably gonna go ahead and take these off, the inner bracket, leave these ones on, slide it up in there and see if it meets the GSI chassis. Fingers crossed.
Okay, we're down here on the back. This is our rear bumper. So Mikey got these 2 factory brackets modified a little bit. Now they're in place, but that is to the outside. We've still got this inside bolt. Without this inside bolt, the whole bumper is still pretty floppy without this jack supporting the center. While we're waiting for the bumper brackets to cool off, I'm gonna go ahead and start making some lighting for the bed of the truck. So we're creating some lighting here to light up our GSI logo and chassis in this area. We got this LED strip light, and then we have all this mounting spots. Regular 1/4" hardware can go into these. So I'm gonna make an aluminum sort of plate for this to attach to, and then it'll have a cover over so you don't actually see the strip light. I'm gonna attach it here, come up, break it, come to the other side, break it again, come down, be able to bolt it in on each side, and then have a nice piece for this to be on. Over here, I got most of my design laid out.
All right, David whipped up this little bracket here that is mounted on the sides of our float tank. I painted it black. Kind of disappears, looks pretty good. But now we'll show you how it looks with our Oracle LED strip light. Here, you do the honors. Bam! Look at that. That's gonna look real sharp at night. We got this little compartment opened up, and it's showing off all these goodies. The GSI logo's blinging, our flake on the chassis looks hot. So thank you, Andrew, my assistant. All right, and to keep that going, we are gonna be doing the same strip light up here on the hood. So it'll be directing down at our engine compartment and making all this beautifulness glow. All right, I think that works out too. As you see, I mean, the lights are on the shop, but you can just tell this thing is gonna light up our engine compartment up real nice. I'm happy with it. All right, we just got our valve covers, custom valve covers from JC Customs. We just got them back from the powder coater. Same with our intake pipe. For now, let's get this stuff on and see how special it looks. Getting super close to firing up this puppy. One of the last little items we have to complete as far as our engine compartment goes is our breather lines coming from our valve covers to our Vibrant catch can down yonder. So I got myself some Vibrant -12 line here. We got an assortment of Vibrant fittings. Let's see if we can't rod them and make it look nice and clean. All right, we got our 2 lines into our catch can with our fittings. We got 90 out, come along here. We're trying to keep everything as tight to the core support as possible because these big wheels are gonna be sitting up here. So I'm coming over here, coming up, coming back around. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get my 2 points where I'm gonna be cutting the other end of our hose. We'll take these back out, make up our other ends, and then we'll come up with a nice way to strap everything. I'll probably keep these 2 lines right down in this little valley, kind of hide the harness from the fuel injectors, and we could probably use the fuel rail to kind of strap this down somehow. Last little lines that we have to make are transmission lines, transmission coolant lines coming from our radiator. We got one connection point here, one down at the bottom, and these are going to be routed pretty much under the engine, over the cross member, and then right on down to our transmission fittings, which are coming out right there. We got a fitting coming out of our transmission, and then we got two 90s. So we'll route it straight through them, like I said, underneath the engine, the oil pan, over this cross member, and then we'll hit our 2 points on our radiator over there. Once we get those in, it's time to start lubing this baby up, because I'm already starting to hear some things operating back there. I hear compressors rolling. I think I might even hear a fuel pump. So I'm gonna get these two lines done, and we're gonna start putting some fluids in it. All right, we got all the coolant lines installed, and while we're under the truck, we got a package from UPS. All right, first step is we got our slip yoke here to install onto our U-joint. We'll go ahead and I already slipped off these little sleeve cap things. So we'll get this little guy on here, and we're gonna take this bad boy over to the press these little caps back in, put our clips on, and we're gonna slide it into our transmission. All right, our two-piece drive shaft is in. Shout out to Knoxville Drivelines, knocked it out the park. Zero issues. Fitment was perfect. I also cycled through the suspension. Right now, we are at the lowest point, so this would be aired out. We have plenty of clearance here on our bracket with our drive shaft. There's no binding. Everything is really perfect. So very pleased with that. We're gonna knock another thing off of our to-do list. All right, man, we got that two-piece drive shaft installed from Knoxville Driveline. We also got our intake, all our intake piping done, all our coolant lines. Let me tell you, man, we are super close to getting this thing fired up so you guys could hear this custom exhaust. So make sure you're liking and subscribing, even throw down a comment. Let us know how you guys are liking the build, because we got a whole bunch of more stuff coming your way, like our custom interior and those super trick three-piece Boston wheels that you guys are not gonna wanna miss. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.